Hello, beautiful, and welcome to the Art of Actualization. Difficulty with making new friends is a pretty widespread issue in the modern day, but I promise it's not impossible, and there's a few different areas I see a lot of people go wrong with this that I am aware of and that I can help you with. And that's what I want to talk about today. As I'm giving you these tips, I want you to be thinking about how they can be applied to your life, and maybe even writing down the actions you want to take and the behaviors you want to change. I think too often we can consume content to work on something and we glean the information, sure, but we don't set a plan in the moment. So that strategy that we needed to make those life changes just ends up slipping away. And I've been guilty of this. That's why I'm bringing it up. I definitely get it. And that's why I want to remind you right now to take some notes and make a plan. This advice cannot help you make new friends if you don't decide how to apply it and take that action in real life. With that said, these tips are going to go in the order they would take place in a relationship, but you can apply them in whatever order feels easiest to you. I don't want you to feel intimidated by one tip and then not apply another just because you couldn't do the one thing first. So, whatever order you have the capacity to do these in is the order that you should do them in. But I hope you will try everything. Do try it all, but just start with whatever's easiest, take the small steps first. And the first thing I want to bring up to you, the first thing that you'll do, and you're going to hate me for this. You are going to hate me a little bit, but it's your personal brand. I know it sounds a little bit icky or cringe to say that, to hear that, but I actually want to do a full episode on personal brand because no matter how cringe or ick it feels to hear, it's an essential framework to think about the way the world sees you. Personal brand is what people associate with you. Basically, it's what comes to mind when they see you or when somebody says your name. And when you're building your own, there's a lot that can go into it. And like I said, this is why I want to do a whole separate episode on this because there's so much I want to go in depth and give you real clarity on. But for our purposes, in this episode, essentially, there's two portions that you want to consider. And the first one is who you are, which is going to be what's important to you. What's your personality like? And what do you want to achieve? And then two is who is your audience? And that second one, I think people forget about when it comes to personal branding specifically. But who you want in your life is a really important consideration here. It maybe feels a little bit performative to say, how can I frame myself for the people I want to pay attention to me? But it doesn't have to be performative. You're taking both pieces into account, and who you are comes first. It's the most important, and you wouldn't do something to attract your ideal audience that was totally outside of who you were. That wouldn't even be advantageous, right? Who wants friends that don't like you for who you are? The way I think of it is with this example, if you're involved at all in social media marketing, you'll totally get it. But if not, here's a little social media marketing tidbit for you. When you're making a TikTok video, the first 2 seconds determine your audience. Whatever people see in those first 2 seconds or less lets them decide if this content is for them or for somebody else. So, as an obvious example, if I want to post for men, I will be face on or full body from a flattering angle, makeup done in a natural way, hair done, slightly smoother or sweeter tone of voice. And I can still say something just as aggressive and even straight up man hating, but men will stay to watch that video more than women will stay to watch that video. And then if I wanted to target women with my TikTok video, I would keep the camera slightly below my face, but relatively close to it. Maybe I would be wearing pimple patches or doing my makeup. I might be speaking in a slightly more frank tone of voice. And those first 3 to 5 words also matter a lot, right? So if I wanted to be very forward, I can say, girls, I have a question as part of my hook. And then men are more likely to swipe past that right away, whereas women are more likely to stick around and see what I have to say. And the way this example applies to you in real life is what kind of makeup do you wear? How do you dress? What kind of vocabulary do you use? What's your posture like? And so on. These things that somebody would notice about you pretty quickly, and maybe they don't even have to be in a conversation with you to notice them, but you're talking to somebody else and they can hear the words you're using, or they can see your makeup from a distance, whatever it is. And are these things in line with what would appeal to the people that you want to be friends with? If not, how can you shift those little traits so they can align with your identity, but also signal, even subtly, that you are for the type of person that you are for? And when I say align with your identity, honestly, that's what they're signaling. They're signaling your identity so that the right people take notice of you, right? This is just about framing who you already are so that the right people, or the people that you are interested in becoming friends with, can see that. An example is I actually started wearing more interesting eyeshadow recently because of this, and it's not like I never wanted to do that. I'm honestly just pretty lazy about my makeup, but when I realized this is gonna help me make it more clear what kind of person I am so I can find my people faster, that motivated me to be a little bit less lazy. And it's only added maybe 5 minutes to my morning. I'm not doing anything crazy, but I did see a difference in the way people respond to me, and it really does get me less of the attention I don't want and more of the attention I do want. Just one little tweak. So figure out who you want to be friends with and brainstorm what little tweak in framing could help them identify you as a potential friend. The next tips are the big ones. These are the ones where you can't do this from your bedroom. You're going to have to get up. They're going to require the most effort. But I'm going to talk to you about working them into your routine because I personally think that's the best way to do this all around. You need to get outside. Yes, there's no way around that. You need to get outside. And there are a few major ways that you can be thinking about that I still want you to enjoy this, right? So one way is to do your hobbies outside. Some hobbies make this really easy, like rollerblading or running. But even if your hobby is something like sewing, try going to the park and working on some hand sewing projects. Try joining a club or a collective for your hobby, or if maybe this hobby is newer for you and you still have a lot to learn, take a class in that hobby. And you can even do this when you're traveling. I do this when I'm traveling. Personally. Get outside and do what you love, and not only will you probably, hopefully, just enjoy it regardless, but you'll be creating an opportunity for people to ask you about what you love and to have conversations about something you actually want to talk about. This is much more likely to build a friendship than an outfit compliment. Even though that's great, who doesn't love a compliment? It just isn't as solid of a connection as something more interest-based can often be, even if the person who sees you in the park doesn't sew themselves, that can still open a more genuine conversation that sparks a friendship more easily than something like, "Those are cute shoes, did you get them around here?" is going to, right? To step things up a bit, become a regular somewhere. You can combine this with your hobby, or you can do this in a coffee shop that you really like. It's about showing up probably every single week, around the same time, the same day, and the reason this works is because people might not be comfortable saying something to you the very first time they see you. But when they see you every week for 2 months, they'll be more comfortable saying hi or starting a conversation. I like to ice skate. So this is an example in my life. And for a while, I was going to rec skating sessions every single weekend at this one rink. And after a month or two, people started coming up to me, and this was, 3 or 4 different people did this. It's a small rink. People started coming up to me and opening a conversation with, "I see you here every week." And we would skate around and we would have a chat and get to know each other. Both of us being there every week meant we already had something in common. And because of the propinquity effect, which is essentially the idea that seeing somebody over and over just naturally makes us more likely to wind up becoming friends with them, that all made us more comfortable having a conversation and chatting. You can become a regular in so many ways. I mentioned your favorite coffee shop and my ice rink, but you could join a language conversation group at your local library. You could post up at a local bar every Thursday during happy hour. You could volunteer for a cause you care about on Tuesday mornings. Go to your favorite restaurant every month on a weekday would be best for that one. Whatever you do, take your time while you're there. Seriously, just slow it down, take your time, and try, if you can stomach it, to go there alone. I know that can be scary for a lot of people, but being alone makes you probably 10 times more approachable. I don't have the data, but it makes you much more approachable. And if you're trying to make new friends, Having your old friends hanging around with you, maybe trying to get in and out of the place or just feeling some type of way about talking to strangers is going to be a huge hindrance, right? Your friends may not have the same goals as you, and even if they do want to make new friends, they might identify somebody as a potential friend differently than you identify someone as a potential friend, right? So this is a problem. And if you just go alone, it's so much easier. Once you get over your anxiety with that, you'll find it's pretty great to get to do whatever you want without waiting for anyone else. Honestly, if you want to make friends, doing what you like to do by yourself is one of the best ways to do it. Different scenes will be more friendly and quick to embrace you than others, but I've really found no better way to make connections while just living my regular life. Personally, I love going to niche events by myself, especially when I'm traveling. People are pretty friendly in most places, and it's really made me feel more connected everywhere I go. But I know solo travel is not for everyone. I'm just saying this to point out that it doesn't just work in one place, right? It's not just where I am, this works. I've tried this at a bunch of different places and it worked everywhere. I've done it in small towns and big cities, and the sweet spot, it seems to me, is probably more mid-sized cities where it's not so big that nobody is paying attention to anyone else, but it's not so small that everyone already knows everyone else. But people are friendly everywhere. So if you do this, you will eventually make friends pretty much anywhere that you are. A warning though, since you're going alone, you might feel the urge to wear your headphones and listen to some music or a podcast to fill that empty air. You need to try to avoid this. Try the best that you can. Most people, rightfully so, will take headphones as a signal that you do not want to be bothered. So yes, you could still approach people, you could still say hi to people, but no one respectful is likely to approach you first when you have your headphones in. You should be approaching people too, like I said. Don't just wait for your next best friend to find you. I'm an introvert, so I get it. Honestly, I wish I could just sit at home all alone all the time and somehow make good friends. But we have to go outside and we have to talk to people. Starting those conversations can move things along much faster. You can start small. If you like somebody's outfit, tell them, but try to work up to things that are more likely to start an actual conversation. There are some outfit items that can do this, a watch or a shoe that's really big for collectors, right? There's some, I don't know, I'm not a watch or a shoe person, but I know there are watches and shoes that are just owning them is a hobby. So if that's something that you're into and you're aware of, definitely compliment people on those things. It could be also a hair clip that's inspired by a TV show that you like, right? Those are just some examples. But try to ask them about something that indicates a shared interest or is likely to give them a chance to talk about something they're interested in. It's amazing the things you'll learn if you just open up for people to talk to you about their own hobbies and fixations. And if you're genuinely interested in what they have to say. Of course, if you're not interested in other people, I don't really think you want to make friends, right? You're probably not really interested in that. But when people around you see that you're friendly towards others, that also makes them more comfortable talking to you. It creates a feedback loop that works in your favor. When you do this over and over and over, when you're a regular in a place that you genuinely enjoy and start making friendly conversation with the people around you, eventually you're going to make friends. It's practically inevitable. So pick a few places and make this part of your routine. You can start with one if you're super introverted like me and it seems really overwhelming. I would start with one, honestly. But get out there. No excuse, okay? There's no excuse not to. You're getting out there every single week. And when you go, you're going to give a compliment to somebody or you're going to start a conversation with at least one new person every single time. Make that your goal and go out and do it. This is more than achievable, okay? I know you can. So put it on your calendar. Put it on your calendar right now. Now, for the really hard part. This is the part where it's kind of like pulling teeth. It's a little bit difficult for a lot of people, but you can do this one too. I know you can. When you have one of these good conversations where you feel like you want to be friends with someone, you have to make the invitation. If you're at a yoga class or ice skating, maybe you say, I'm going to go get a coffee or a smoothie after this. Do you want to come with me? If you have a similar hobby to each other, you might mention a related event coming up and say, I've been trying to find somebody to go to that with, but my other friends aren't into it. Can I text you and maybe we can go together? Even if you don't have an easy in like this, There is absolutely no shame in saying, I feel like we should be friends. Can I get your number so we can make plans sometime? Honestly, I wish more people were comfortable being straightforward like that and just admitting they want to be friends with someone. This is a compliment, right? It's not like you're being mean. No one is going to be upset that you offered to be friends with them, right? They're going to say, oh, this person likes me enough. They want to be friends with me. And they're probably going to be relieved because let me tell you something. Adults are lonely. A lot of adults are really lonely and they want to be friends too, but they don't want to say it, right? They're not willing to come out and say it. So just being able to say, I feel like we should be friends. Can I get your number so we can make plans sometime? It's not hard, it's not complicated. Well, it might be a little bit hard, but it's definitely not complicated. So make sure you get their number or their Instagram or their Signal, however you guys both want to stay in touch, so you can follow up and then make sure you actually follow up. You cannot just chat people up in coffee shops. I mean, you can do that all you want, but if you don't ever connect or make plans with them outside of these chance meetings, it's pretty unlikely that you're going to actually become friends. I know this can be really painful for people, but you just have to take the leap and do it. I can't be there to hold your hand. It's tough for me too. I am right there with you in spirit. But just try to remind yourself that even a rejection isn't close to being the end of the world. It's nowhere near the end of the world. And in fact, the risk that you might not make a new friend because you were too afraid is so much bigger than the risk that you won't make a new friend, even though you tried, right? The occasional rejection is just the cost of getting out there. And because you're not going to be discouraged, there's somebody else to connect with right around the corner. I know it. So that's all I have for you this week. Let me know what part of this you think is going to help you the most personally. I'd love to hear where everyone has been tripping up. Maybe it will warrant a deeper dive on something, right? I'd also love to hear some of your tips. What has helped you make friends? Please share with the group or, leave me a comment, message me on Instagram, even if you're shy, and let me know because I'm very interested. If this has helped you make a plan to build your dream friend group, make sure to subscribe so we can get to work on building your entire dream life. Okay? Rate the podcast for me so that I know how I'm doing, and I will talk to you next week. Love you. Bye.